This is a wonderful story. You all remember Dick Cheney, don't you? Well, Dick Cheney has canceled his Toronto trip. And why? Canada, too dangerous. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. When you think of Canada, you think of maple syrup or Mounties or, I don't know, hockey, beer. Dick Cheney thinks of things like prison or indictment or mass protests or a reminder that he's just not a very good person. As reported in the, let's see, what are we at? The National Post. Former U.S. Vice President Dick Cheney has canceled an April appearance in Toronto, citing concerns Canada too dangerous. Seriously? Isn't this where we got Justin Bieber from?
It is.
And Martin Short. I mean, those are the only two Canadians I can remember. There's been plenty more. I know of it. I know.
Bryan Adams.
Bryan Adams. Oh, come on, Canada. I kid. Ryan Ruppert, president of promotions company Spectre Co-op. Spectre Co-op. You'll recall that Spectre, the name of the evil organization that used to fight against James Bond, which had booked Mr. Cheney for an April 24th appearance at the Metro Toronto Convention Center. He felt that in Canada, the risk of violent protest was simply too high. In September, Mr. Cheney was speaking at a private club in Vancouver when protesters massed outside the front door, harassing ticket holders, and in one instance, choking a security guard. So let me get this straight. Are we to believe that Dick Cheney, as responsible as anyone for the deaths of over 100,000 innocent Iraqi civilians, as responsible as anyone for the deaths of thousands of U.S. servicemen, is worried about a security guard being choked and is therefore decided to make the sacrifice of not going to Toronto? The former vice president was reportedly held inside the building for more than 7 hours as Vancouver police in riot gear dispersed the demonstrators. I suspect what Dick Cheney's very worried about is that if he gives a reason for protesters to protest in Canada, and if you see that from Vancouver all the way over here on the map to Toronto over here on the map, protests on both sides of the country, practically, of Canada, that maybe somebody might get the idea that it would be politically fortuitous or advantageous for them to try and maybe prosecute Cheney in absentia. The good news is ticket holders can show up at Spectre for a refund or go to Replacement Talk by author Mark Stein. And if you've ever heard or read anything that Mark Stein has done, I would just say, enjoy.